I forget the author's name now. It's called Surrounded by Idiots. It's a fairly recent book. It's been out in the last year, and it's written by a guy who built a company up with his father, teaching awarenesses of personalities and their traits, coming from his younger career as an executive. He had to go and do some consulting with a guy who ran his own empire, who would swear and shout and belittle everyone who worked underneath him. And he was convinced that they were all morons, and he held everything together. And this guy was like, well, that can't be true, because your empire isn't built on your back. It's everybody that works for you.
Yeah.
So he sat down with his father and sort of started to pull apart. And he basically figured out there are 4 categories of people's personalities.
That's cool.
As in introverted, extroverted, everything else. And I'm only halfway through reading that at the moment. But that's a very good book I recommend if you're going to read any kind of career path where you want to know what drives people's brains and emotions.
Yeah.
Because different people obviously are very, very different. It doesn't mean they're not useful in their roles, but sometimes you need to talk to them differently. You need to behave to them differently. If you've got to give 10 people the same job, approach 5 people differently, dependent on their particular attributes.
Yeah.
And you get the best out of them. I think that was a very good book that I'm going to enjoy finishing.
Awesome. Yeah, love that. It's interesting, the whole dimensions of personality, and definitely even in relation to clients and stuff like that. There is certain clients I've had where if I was tender and overly compassionate, it would be almost insulting to them, because they're so aggressive, and they want someone to be at them in their face screaming, "You need to do this," and it's. Whereas if I did that with someone who is very quite shy and gentle, if I was to scream and shout aggressively at them, they would probably be very put off by training.
Yeah.
And I did notice as well with certain trainers in the previous gym I've been working in, a lot of them, they had, certain trainers have different styles and then cater then to a certain demographic of person. So I feel as though with my own, it's people usually have had a bad experience with the trainer and then they've come to me. So, yeah, cool, man. So, in terms of that, is there any kind of quote or philosophy that you live by? Because you seem very educated and quite creative in nature as well, and very hardworking. Is there any kind of philosophy or kind of quotation you have in mind that it's kind of like an organisational principle you have?
Again, I had literally my brain was gearing up until you finished talking. Quote, I probably furnish you with one in the future, but I mean, my own personal philosophy that I take from everything that I've always learned is there's probably one, I think it was Einstein, that sort of swore he used to say, I forget the exact phrasing, but he never thought of himself as an expert. He just thought of himself as an eternal student.
Love that. Yeah, love that.
He just wanted to learn and learn and learn to be better informed, which would further his abilities in his chosen field. Now, I really probably do embrace that a lot more than I imagine, because I read at a crazy rate and absorb in podcasts and everything else. I rarely listen to music when I'm training, because my earphones have got this lecture or this podcast in, and I'm off doing things. By the way, don't ever listen to comedians' podcasts when you're trying to do handstands. It goes wrong badly. Because you guarantee the one time your feet up against the wall and you're really trying to focus, you'll try and laugh, and it all goes horribly wrong, which I've done recently.
Yeah.
There's that one, and given what I do for a living, one of the main principles that I work with is I want to educate the people I work with for their investment. I understand that my relationship with someone starts here, and their objective is here, and that's going to be the length of our relationship. So I want to go, right, by the time we get there, you don't go, oh shit, I can't cope unless you're in my life. Because of course that's not going to happen. You're not going to pay me for 40 years, sadly. So it's a case of, right, I want you to be so armed when we get to this point with physiology knowledge, dietary knowledge, lifestyle habits, where even if you waver now and again, you are going to be a happier, healthier person long into the future.
Love that.
If we get to that point, I've done my job. Whether I see you 5 days a week or 1 day a week, whatever it might be, my goal is to get you to the best version of what you want to be with my assistance.
Yeah, that's it.
And I personally think our collective industry, your former at the moment, unless you ever go back to it, that should be our main focus, the integrity to go, I'm all about everybody else. because that's what a coach has to be. You can't be the best coach in the world if you're more interested in your own agenda than everyone else is, because
100%.
I mean, the very point of what we do is to go, right, I'm absorbing all of this knowledge to then spread it out amongst everyone who wants to listen to me.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting, when I was talking to Eric Helms, the first interview I did on the channel, and I asked him about certain coaching styles, and one of the things I said was one trainer who will never ever be this kind of trainer, because I think it's just such a horrible way to train someone. On multiple occasions saw this trainer make, I think it was two women cry when they were training, because he was so kind of authoritarian and not very patient, to say the least.
Yeah.
And he was saying the whole guru model is kind of always based on that. It's always everyone else's fault. I'm already perfect, so you must be the problem if something's wrong. But really, it's kind of an oxymoron. It's usually the trainer who's at fault.
Oh yeah, it's projection most of the time.
Yeah, 100%. And having that, I think you were alluding to there as well, this kind of beginner's mindset as well. I remember asking Eric Helms, he was, again, like yourself, Rich, very, very humble and has so much humility and still has this massive desire to learn. And it never fails to amaze me. The people usually, like with Eric, I think it's a PhD, 2 masters, a bachelor's.
Oh, shit.
And he's still in that frame of, I need to learn. Probably in terms of, nutritional and exercise science, it gets a bit more complex for me, that I start losing the will to live a little bit with it, because it gets so in depth, and he can cite reference and cross-reference different studies and authors and dates exactly when it was made, and it's like, wow, God, it gets very, very complex and very, very intense. But yeah, and even at his level, still has, he's a pro natural bodybuilder, international competing powerlifter, Olympic lifter, and still has this insane level to want to learn and do better, and it's like, oh my God, crazy levels. But yeah, definitely in what we were saying before about the dimensions of personalities, and there are certain training styles that are more suited to certain people.
Exactly.
And even if they have the same routine, it's like you're going to treat them two people, completely differently. If you had someone, like I said before, who's like very, very shy, has chronic gym anxiety, you're not going to be like a CrossFit champion coach, like screaming down the throat. So, yes, Rich. In terms of that, just kind of as a sign off now, Rich, is there any other kind of tip you would recommend for the viewers moving forward after lockdown to get them in shape and also stay in shape as well?
Oh, staying in shape. I would say, don't see health as a departure from life. This whole, I'm going to be healthy now. Well, you don't stop being you. You don't stop having the same people you love in your life, the same occupation and everything else. You want to be a healthier person. This is why I think, unfortunately, at the moment, the whole fat activist, health at any size rubbish gets far more traction than it needs, and it's not a pleasant collective, because they like to preach the idea that if you're, as an individual, trying to become healthier for your own reasons, your own rationale, you are saying that anybody who's not going through your process is a lesser person.
Yeah.
Or they're living a different life that's not what life should be, which is it's an insult to them, which of course is not the case. You can be healthy and you can be happy and live your life. I tell my clients to go, I'm not going to give up a drink once a week. Fine, we'll factor it into your nutrition. The calorie intake, that's fine. I'm going to have a 2-week vacation with the wife and kids. Okay, enjoy yourself. Just do your best not to undo what we've done the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
It's an odd concept that I think comes from certain very militant mindsets of exercise and nutrition, that my way is the only way. Like the trainer you were talking about, you have to live like this all the time. Well, no one's going to do that.
No.
Yeah, if this regime means I can never go to the pub, or I can never enjoy that slightly indulgent meal with my grandmother because she makes awesome cakes.
Yeah.
No one's going to do that.
Yeah,
treat your life as something you want to enjoy. Just make it healthier. Introduce exercise. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who's not a client, just a long-term friend in the UK. Now the lockdown thing's eased a bit. She's out walking 3 or 4 nights a week after work, and she's a busy, busy lady. But that's going to be her exercise. It's also, she gets alone time with herself to de-stress, decompress. Married, kids, high-stress job, but for 3/4 of an hour a night, she can go, oh, good God, and just go for a walk around the neighbourhood, and that's going to be a complete salvation for her, regardless of her day, because it's the one thing that she gets for herself.
Yeah.
that would be the single biggest thing I can recommend is live. I hate the modern phrasing of it, but live your best life.
Yeah.
And that's not becoming an Instagram showpiece. That's nothing like that. It's just be healthy.
100%.
Be happy and be healthy. And if it means the odd pint, or it means the odd slice of chocolate cake or bacon sandwich, hey, knock yourself out. I do the same thing.
Yeah. Love that, Rich. Yeah, love that. I love your honesty as well, Rich. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, buddy, honestly, I think that's genuinely something that's missing from the health and fitness world.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's the reason why James Smith has got a fantastic following, because he tells things I honestly, in my head, talk a lot more like he does. With the language I might use sometimes. But yeah, be absolutely honest about life. I want to go out drinking with the lads and still lose weight. Tough shit, you're not going to.
Yeah.
Be sociable.
Yeah.
Have your social life.
100%.
You're not going to take 9 pints a night, 4 nights a week, and lose the belly. End of conversation.
Yeah.
That honesty, right? Oh, you know what? You can still do that, but buy my 14 supplements, and it will get rid of the intake of sugar. All this bullshit that goes with the industry.
Yeah.
Integrity should be one of the things you value, because it relates to who you are as a person.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. I do think a lot of the times, I mean, I can't stand, as much as I can see there's a certain point to Instagram influencers and stuff like this, and fitness models, and I do think it's just almost, I understand why there is that, because it does inspire people to get in shape at the end of the day. But also as well, I do think it feeds into this kind of digital narcissism even more, and people get even more neurotic about selfies and it misses the whole point of, we're supposed to be creating a very healthy environment for people, and to try and I think what you were saying, like trying to integrate it as your kind of innate response to food and exercise. It's not this little widget you have in your day for 3 months. It is your life now.
Exactly.
And you're trying to change your behaviour. I think I mentioned maybe previous on another video, but I remember one of my clients, Helen, and she was saying, it's kind of a nuanced thing, but she said to me, I see people eating the dieting foods and I just get on with eating my potatoes and salmon.
Yeah.
And she was trying to say that's her natural, innate response she would enjoy eating, because she's learned to integrate that into her lifestyle. Isn't this phasic thing where, it's 2 months away from summer, I'll get in shape and then get out of shape. So. Well,
yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest as well, this whole you got to be on my team or you're anti my team mindset, it shows itself in ways that some people aren't aware of. I mean, Alan Roberts, who's got the YouTube channel, Every Damn Day Fitness, and a few other bits and pieces. His response last year to a lot of this, anti-health and anti-fitness body, whatever it was that you think you people are judged because you're overweight, and you think the world should give everything should be bigger, larger seats, bigger seat belts. Don't comment on my weight if you're a doctor. It's nothing to do with my health, all that bullshit. You try going into a corporate workplace and sitting down for your lunch and taking out one tub that's got your food that you've made at home because you like knowing what you're eating. He said, you watch the faces of the 20 people that can see you eat. You are being judged.
Yeah.
Because the perception there is, he thinks he's better than us. Because he's chosen, like you said, to have his choice of lifestyle.
That's it. Yeah.
The personal integrity for those people would be, I don't give a shit what you eat.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Good. Knock yourself out, man.
It's almost crazy. Yeah, it's even got to that extent where I think I also don't know if you touched on this maybe as well, Rich. When people start trying to normalise and make it seem okay for people to be overweight as well.
Yeah.
This whole normalisation of it's absolutely fine. You just need to accept them as they are. It's like, well,
yeah.
It comes to a point. I want you to if I had a client, I've had a few clients like this, and it's like, okay, right, well, you're either going to lose weight like you want to, or you can try and maintain, air quote, this image of, being overweight and not particularly very healthy and not really respecting your body. What's your thoughts on that, Rich? When people are kind of
okay, you and I can have quite a long chat about that online. in the short term, of course, right. Let everybody live their own lives. I'm not a bully. If you want to live your life and your idea of your best life is you're going to eat everything you see as soon as you see it, knock yourself out. I don't have to have an opinion on that because you don't cross paths with me. In the same way as if someone wants to exercise an hour a day, 7 days a week, go for it. Be the happiest person you can be. But in the same way, if you cry, you can't critique me for being overweight. you can't then turn around and critique the other side of that, which is, I want to eat this way and be really active and be happy and see my grandkids and go to my grandkids' wedding. Because only one of those two groups is going to have that life.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to be the guy who goes for a walk 5 days a week and goes to the gym 3 days a week. It's going to be the other person who has a diet of 4,000 excess calories a day. You know, and there's a very, very concise, real point there that the fat acceptance and all that movement are happily trying to cover up, which is medical science has proven that obesity will kill you.
Yes.
There is no pro to being obese.
No.
Isn't. It's not a case of be 5 stone overweight, but you'll be an intellectual giant for 5 years before you die. You know, there's no, this is the sacrifice I have to have this. It's like, no. And unfortunately, I think it's become a following that is entirely damaging. You know, people like Tess Holliday and everything else, she knew damn well when she was put on the front cover of Cosmopolitan UK.
Yeah.
She was being asked to do that, and if I'm unkind, as a circus attraction. The editors of that magazine, who, by the way, are all women, and I checked this up because I had a conversation with someone else afterwards, knew full well that to put a very, very, very obese, let's face it, she's not overweight, she's obese, woman on the front cover would draw a hell of a lot of media attention.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is what they did. You know, and apparently, I've not seen it, but someone said to me the other day that she's gained a lot of weight during lockdown, and she was bragging about it on her social media, going, "Oh yeah, you know, fat as fuck, living my best life." I'm like, well, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't move comfortably from A to B in your own home without being out of breath and maybe in pain, that's not the best life.
No.
You know, if you've got children, which she has, your best life would be an example to those kids.
Yeah.
Be a nice person and be overweight, or be happy and be whatever weight. But like you said, the narcissism and the disingenuous sense of valor, I'm huge and I'm happy and it's okay and you can't comment on it. Well, sorry, but we can. If you're going to step into the public sphere and say, I want everyone out there, like it's the same as flat earthers, you want us to completely forget science and fact and reality because it suits you. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk up to you and hurl abuse in your face and tell you I think you're a bad person, because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we cross paths in the professional workspace and I have a conversation with someone who's, I want to get healthier for myself, I will have that conversation. If someone comes on and says, I'm X amount heavier, I think I'm healthy, I'm going to go, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Now, one of the main arguments that comes out of the promotion of obesity, which is you can be super fat, infinity fat, and everything else, these various terms they have for different levels of morbid obesity, is you can't tell me I'm healthy by looking at me, or unhealthy, sorry. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
That's what morbid obesity means. I can't say, without a set of doctor's tests, what's maybe unhealthy with you, but I can say you're unhealthy. Because clearly you are. In the same way I can look at someone who's very, very anorexic. There's a reason why anorexic models are now illegal in Europe. Because it's a very, very, very clear indication of a poor nutritional and physical health. To which, thankfully, a lot of industries cottoned on and said it's an abusive environment to foster this is what we want. But unfortunately, there's a degree of manners involved as well that has unfortunately gone to the side of the whole fat acceptance argument. That a lot of the Western world, as far as industry is concerned, and media, because it wants to protect itself, is, oh no, we won't address obesity. No, can't mess with that. Shh.
Yeah.
Because it draws negative attention your way. I mean, that's the basis that Tess Holliday exists. It's, I'm very overweight and I don't care. Hey, that's you. But what she said is, everybody else out there who's also very overweight and has no intention of changing it, you be my buddies and follow me. And if someone critiques me, you can all jump on them. If someone critiques you, we'll all jump on them for you. And it's a self-reinforcing environment. You know, it's like a self-healing tire. You puncture it, it fixes itself for its own safety. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, we dare you to poke at the wall because we'll just fire everything at you. Critique one of us and you attract the whole tribe.